Good afternoon, I am Adventure Argonaut. This is Stafford Case, another investigation game. I started yesterday, and yeah, no more golden news. I'm done with that because I really don't have time for this. Time for it. Like partially, I'm a bit sad, but on the other hand, is I have time for other stuff, more time for other stuff. So that's nice. Like doing a game stream on Tuesday, that's nice as well. Let's get this chat there because there's something wrong with kick chat on OBS right now, so I have to pop out. Let's see what if I okay. Now it looks okay, actually. Okay. Yes. Play the game. Continue. So we have a murder. We got suspects in the green room. The small dark space makes it perfect, don't you think? So yeah, there was some guy sitting at his desk and somebody knocked him, with a blunt instrument to the back of his head. He was killed, and I think we're gonna go interview the suspects now. Sounds good. Give us 5 minutes. Sergeant, what's that? Huh? It's a spork. We used instead of walkie-talkies. Okay, so to talk. So it's a walkie-talkie shaped like a spork. No, it's a spork. A cross between a spoon and a fork. Oh yeah, because they are in England and it's illegal to have a fork or a knife there. That's why they use sporks. I know that much, but tell me, why is Stena's voice coming from a spork? What exactly does it... How exactly does it work? I'm not quite sure myself. After all, we can't be sure which objects will become staff. Staff? I guess you're not completely in the know. We call objects with special abilities like this spork, for instance, a staff. Why is it a staff? Or why don't they have like a weirder name? Sounds like staffers, these objects are also phenomena. And staff is like the object version of a staffer. In truth, staffers are the human version of a staff. But I mean, you got the gist of it. Here, now you got one too. If you want to get hold of someone, just hold it upside down and speak. Why does it have to be a spork? No, let's not dwell on that. I should focus on the case. Note, you're gonna play an active part in interrogations as well now. Oh, can I really? It's important you experience a little bit of everything. I have matters to attend to that require me to leave the theater for a while. While I'm out, you go help Thina. Okay, I'll give it a try. Though I'm not sure I'll actually be of much help. It's true, we have no idea if you'll actually be of much help, but it'll be better than you not tagging along. I don't think I'll be a zero help, though. You think so? Then I'll be looking forward to seeing what you can do. Not too much, though. Well, that sure does make me want to get something done. Detective Tena said the suspects would be in the green room, right? Is there a green screen? Trump Tower Theater. Temporary interrogation room. Yeah, I forgot we're in Trump Tower. For some reason. In 1960s London. Welcome to the world of interrogations. It's rather admirable you've dragged yourself all this way to help. Note. I guess the Note nickname is catching on. In the beginning, it was my job to decide the nicknames within Mana Affairs Division. But this time it looks like Pandy beat me to it. Pandy. So speaking of the whole Pandy thing, you're talking about Sergeant Pandoria Redfins, right? I'm not sure how appropriate is it to call a superior officer by a nickname. A nickname is part of one's identity. It's what you need to survive when you work in this field. What field is she working in where this is normal for her? I don't know, a prostitute? Excuse me, how long am I gonna have to wait? No, that's Yuri Geller. No, I mean Julia Geller. I'd like to get this over with. Ah, this woman. Is she Julia Geller? That she is. Would you like to introduce yourself? Hello, miss. I'm not your case of the Manor Affairs Division. No need for introductions. I won't remember you anyways. You're a staffer, right, Miss Geller? I've heard you were gifted with telekinesis. You should have all my information since I gave you lot my bureau file before. Can't you figure out from what's written there? With all the strange jargon on that document, I honestly couldn't have told you from a look. Sorry, this guy's a rookie. Could you give him a demonstration? If I must, stay back while I'm using my skill. You'll only make it harder to control. Of course. I could show you with this pen. How's that? Ooh. Oh. That's it? The pen's floating, aren't you impressed? What more do you want from me? How can I put this? Since it's less of a magic trick and more of an actual supernatural ability, I find myself quite disinterested all of a sudden. Would your audience members enjoy something like this? Are you in your right mind? Of course I perform different stunts on stage. That was just to show you my skill. Amateur. Miss Geller, I heard you're a clown here at Trump Tower, but your personality doesn't seem all that cheerful. Is this some statement that we live in clown world? Because of Trump and stuff? I obviously put on a cheery act when I take the stage, but do you really expect a clown to act so ludicrously in real life? Chumps like you who can't distinguish fiction from reality are the reason Vladimir Nabokov caught so much heat. I have no idea who that is. Sorry, Mr. Nabokov. More importantly, I've already said all I have to say. Why am I here? Miss Geller. You're here because of Note here. Huh? We were just about to conclude you were a culprit, but Note voiced his objections. In fact, Note's the whole reason you're getting a second chance. However, you should think carefully about what you say from now on, alright? Alright. Right, up against the table, please. Okay. Hey, Note. Huh? It's good to be polite and all, but now's not the time. A detective shouldn't be looked down upon. Yes, I understand. I mean, not that you're got the most polite way of speaking ever. So, Miss Geller, I've got a question for you. Alright. About the day in question, before you happened upon the body, did you see the victim at all? Since we already know everything, I'd think twice about lying. Yes, I did. The ringleader called me 7:30, so I went to see him. That lines up with the trace photo. You have a photo? No need to get into that. More importantly, we'd like you to tell us what happened at 7:30. I'm sorry, but I'd rather not talk about what happened then. Could you give me some time regarding that matter? Okay. Then perhaps you should hear from someone else first. Okay, very well then. Wouldn't it have been better to pry a little further? We can pry later. If we push her too hard, I'll have a harder time detecting abnormal heartbeats. More important than that, Note, you almost got us into a heap of trouble, you know. Huh? The fact that we use our skills on suspects is strictly confidential. Would it be nice to tell us, like, inform Case about that? If they were aware of our skills, they could think of counters to them. Ah, sorry. I didn't think about that. Seriously, I haven't figured out if you're a genius or a dunce. So yeah, I think at the end of the game there's gonna be a criminal who is aware of the skills and will like use it against us, or maybe it's even one of these our co-workers or something. Watch your mouth, okay? If one of the suspects caught word. Excuse me. That's when I said it. Would you rather eat that if it tastes like ice cream, or ice cream if it tastes like that? What? If you're gonna change the subject, could you pick a better topic? That's sort of gross. Maybe that. Hey, Agent Double Hurts, welcome. You're in the other chat now, in Kick. That's all I could think of in the heat of moment. I have something to say before I feel like I started out a bit harsh. With everything going on, I've been a bit touchy, and thank you for the second chance, Detective Notrick case. That's all I wanted to say. Oh, that's a development, huh? She just thought it would be a bad idea getting in close with a detective. Still, she heard you. She even remembered your name, Note. True. It's quite nice to hear honest gratitude. After all, we don't hear it often. Detective Brian? Again with a spork. Yeah, so instead of walkie-talkies, they use magical sporks to talk. So you bring in the suspects? Indeed, both of them are waiting outside. Great, lead them in one at a time. Let's start with the bloke. Magician Frederick Vernon at your service. So this is the fire guy, obviously. Whoa, there's a hairstyle you could spot in a crowd. You could lose your soul in a hand of cards to her hair like that. Hair like that? What exactly? Note, have you still not seen his bureau file? Here it is, have a look. Frederick Vernon's skill is radial ignition. And yeah, this is my favorite character in the game so far, because he has a fairly normal name. But not like a boring normal. So radial ignition, max 1.2 meters, catalyst none, temperature of flame ranges from 600 to 2800 degrees Celsius, so that's pretty hot. Able to use in oxygen-free environments, well that's badass. How about phlogiston? Surely it's gonna need some phlogiston. Ignition means he can light fires, right? And does this part mean it radiates outwards from a central point? Simple enough. Seems like something you men would enjoy. I'm just glad it's easier to understand than indiscernible object manipulation. Most of my magic makes use of my skill, things like setting fire to targets and the like. I'd like to show you, but that may be difficult due to the risks of starting a fire. That's quite alright. There are those skillful enough to fool us about their skills, making it necessary to check them out. But since your troop members here at Trump Towers use their skills during the performances, pulling the wool over our eyes is impossible. Still, can you really call using a skill a magic trick? Magic normally relies on illusions. Even if I did magic without the use of my skill, do you think anyone would believe it was a trick? This city is filled with staffers. I decided that instead of trying my hardest to conceal my powers and be called a fraud, I'd openly show them. Thankfully, the response was satisfactory. Plus, there's something romantic about a man who can shoot fire out of his hands. How about his ass? That maybe it's just your personal preference speaking. But, sorry, calling you in here suddenly must be quite inconvenient, yes? No, it's quite alright. The man wearing the monocle provided me with a blanket and a spot of tea after turning on some classical music. Seems like the bureau treats their suspects quite nicely. It's the man wearing the monocle who goes to strange lengths. More importantly, I'd like to move on to discussing the case. That's why you called me, is it not? Should we? Then scooting close to the table. Then could you tell me about the last time you saw the deceased? If you like. This is Mr. Vernon. He doesn't seem as hot as his hairstyle makes him out to be. Speech review. Dun dun dun. Maybe I should do a save. I visited at 8:30. It was due to personal matters I had to discuss with the victim. Wait, there's the log. I visited the scene of crime about 8:30. Yes, I was due to personal matters I had to discuss with the victim. I knocked on the door for almost 5 minutes, but there was no response. I couldn't hear the slightest bit of movement from inside. So I just went back to what I was doing. I didn't go inside. I couldn't have killed him. Besides, there were no hard feelings between him and I. That's all I know. So I guess the shaking means that his heart is, you know, skipping a beat, so clearly there were hard feelings between them. Shorter statement than I imagined. He seemed like he had a lot to say. Well, that's why I shouldn't judge based on appearances. Oh no, with hair like that. They're really... Like, in our world, these people would be called diversity hires or something, because they don't seem that smart, but they have skills, so at least they have some useful skills, but they're just dumb. That's why we are the ones with the brains. He should be ending every sentence with fire, or at very least he could add in some passion, no? So ridiculously rude. It's almost admirable. Anyway, first things first, let's check out the statements we got so far, no? Let's see here. I got 2 new documents, Vernon's bureau file and his statement. I should take a close look at them. Since I'm not a staffer, the only thing I can do to help is look for clues with the documents written by others. Let's think. If I can find something worth noting and point it out, I might be able to find another clue. Okay. Vernon, so this is his. Well, I guess. Okay. That's his statement. Yes, Vernon last meeting with victim. 8:30. That's probably true. It was due to personal matters I had to discuss with the victim. I knocked on the door for almost 5 minutes. There was no response. So that seems to be true. I couldn't hear the slightest bit of movement. Okay. Back to what I was doing. I couldn't have killed him. Well, of course, like, this is an emotional matter talking about killing, so that's reasonable. But there were no hard feelings between him and I. That sounds a bit sus. Mystery solved. In Mr. Vernon's statement, there's a blatant lie. A lie? Take another look at the witness statement. Don't you notice anything strange? Ah, you're right. I detected an abnormal heartbeat during the last line of his statement. Mr. Vernon is much more calm than his appearance would have us believe. But even though he wasn't talking about death, you detected an abnormal heartbeat, meaning he was lying. Wow, not even familiar with all the terms, but you're already figuring it out faster than Dena using her skills. Stupendous. Yeah, because she's stupid. The false part of the statement is, besides, there were no hard feelings between him and I, right? In other words, Mr. Vernon did have a problem with the deceased, huh? That's right. Should we get another statement regarding that part then? Is there a problem? Mr. Vernon, you said there were no hard feelings between you and the victim, right? Yes, that's right. I'm sure you know the difficulties that may arise if we find out you're lying to us. I have no idea what you're talking about. The ringleader and I weren't exactly friends, but there was no friction between us. Huh. It's not gonna work. He's gonna keep dodging us to the bitter end. What? You're calling it quits here? You know that was an obvious lie. There's no use. If he finds out about my skill, he'll refuse to tell us anymore. In cases like this, it's best to find something he can't talk his way out of. Something he can talk his way out of. You got to present undeniable evidence to the suspect. Evidence that proves his statement was a lie. Evidence that proves the statement was a lie? Things aren't all bad yet. We can't get another statement, but we know which part was a lie. What we have to do is find a clue that contradicts the statement. Maybe it's the statue that was burned. She just tells us what the lie was. We don't have to click something from our inventory to contradict him. No, I guess we need to click something, right? So, do we have evidence of a fight between the victim and Vernon? Proof that Mr. Vernon's statement is false. In other words, we have to find a clue that Mr. Vernon was on bad terms with the victim, right? Then if I can connect the clue with the false part of the statement, I can bring Mr. Vernon's lie to light. I should look through the documents uncovered thus far. Maybe there's a clue that will tell us about the sort of relationship Mr. Vernon had with the deceased. So yeah, I think a statue. I guess this is still the tutorial. Yeah, it seems pretty easy so far, but it might, you know, escalate quickly. So where's this one? No, it's not here. Grotesque statue, yes. So maybe this one. Bust of the victim deformed to extreme temperatures. Combination failed. Why the heck? Oh. Okay, that's BS. Surely it was more accurate to choose the part that says that it's really fucking hot than simply that he has this vague fire ability. I call BS on that one. Detective Thena, did you happen to see the odd decoration adorning the scene of the crime? I think I saw it. Are you talking about that work of art only people in the know could appreciate? Work of art? Was there such a work? You don't know, it's displayed right next to the bookshelf. Of course, Mr. Vernon doesn't know. It's no simple work of art after all. It was a bust modeled after the victim. Really? Then why does it look like it was swallowed up by the abyss? According to Sergeant's investigation, someone melted it down with a powerful flame. Ah, fire, huh? How do you think that happened? There wasn't exactly a bonfire in that room, but there were no signs the bust was carried out. Is it even possible to make a bust look like that? The only way that's possible if it was done by a staffer using an ignition skill. That staffer must have absolutely hated the victim. The nerve required to make a bust of the victim into an abstract artwork. Mr. Vernon. Yes, with you and the victim, things were bad, huh? I would like to apologize. Logical. Yeah, so fucking logical. Why lie? I'm sorry. I figured that if you found out I got into a scuffle with the ringleader, you might turn your suspicions toward me. I thought about being honest with you, but you're all part of the bureau, right? Why does that matter? You're right. Since I'm also a staffer, I figured showing weakness in front of the bureau. Well, let's just say that I had a bad feeling about it. I've heard that the bureau has a bad reputation, at least at first glance. But I had no idea people trusted us this little. No, it's not even a question of trust. I feel like Mr. Vernon is actually terrified of us. I'm not completely unaware of what you may be feeling, but making false statements will only hurt you in the end. I'm gonna write up a new statement. Will you be honest this time? I will. Speech review. No one could have gotten along with that man. He never had the greatest personality, but it's only gotten worse these past few days. I'm aware that he's amassed quite a gambling debt, so I'd wager that's probably the reason. He was crossing the line with how much slander he threw our way, and Geller got the lion's share. The only thing he could do was jump high, so he asked a whole lot from the rest of us. We ended up getting into a yelling match 2 days before the incident. Nothing good was said, so I kept it secret from the others. That's when I got angry and burned the sculpture. Even now, I think I went too far. That's why I went to apologize to him the day of the incident. Is this all I'll get out of him? Is he the one who forced you to style your hair that weird? Yes, the ringleader took his directing role very seriously, to an odd degree. Wait. Yeah, he has different hairstyle here. He forced me to act like this. I'm this character full of passion. At the end of every speech, it's fire or something similar that puts the exclamation point on what I'm saying. That's how Tina would have you do it. No, it isn't. The thought never crossed my mind. Did too. If the victim was really like that, why'd you stay at the circus this whole time? There must have been a way to shift careers. There was not. No other troops would accept us, I can assure you that. Regardless, that's all I have for you. Sorry to disturb your investigation. Shall we call in our next suspect then? I just did. I sort of like the interviews. They don't waste too much time, but they don't feel that rushed either. So far, so careful. I know. So this must be Miss Oz Aston. Indeed, Oz Aston, Trump Tower's resident acrobat. Here's her bureau file. Let's have a look. Oh, thank you. Bowie knife. From what I can see in your file, Miss Aston, your skill is chain ice formation. Under 1 centimeter range. So I guess, does it mean like she can basically form it in her hand? Objection! Catalyst purified water. Oh, it has to be purified. The chain reaction can continue up to 5 meters. Okay. So basically she has to touch purified water and then she can like make it into like a spear if she wants to, spear of ice. The every 2 cubic meters takes 1 second to freeze. Okay, every 2 cubic meters. Okay, so it's really fast. She's holding a popsicle. Ice formation. That would be freezing water into ice, but what's the chain part about? The range of my skill is less than a single centimeter, and I can really only use it when I come into contact with water. However, once I use my skill in a single time, it sets off a chain reaction, forming an ice block up to 5 meters. Ah, there were those, like in the crime scene photo, like these blocks here. So does it mean there were like 2 ice blocks there? So if you merely touch the surface of a pool of water, you can freeze up a 5-meter radius. Wait. And the puddle here. So is the puddle actually, because the cup isn't knocked over, so is it the ice that's melted? Like, it's possible she's not the killer, but she's my prime suspect right now. Like, has been since I heard that somebody has something. Well, I was thinking it has to be ice if the murder weapon is missing and stuff. Like, of course, it's possible that somebody just hid the murder weapon, but that's like, you know, boring if you find it in a dumpster in the river later or something like that. Yes, I've shown the exact ability up on stage before. However, I'm not able to freeze any liquid. My catalyst, the only liquid I'm able to freeze is purified water. I see, I've got a general idea of her skill now. So I guess tap water doesn't work either. However, Miss Aston, unlike the previous two, actually has a catalyst on her bureau file. I should probably keep that in mind. Now that we're done with the introduction, shall we get to the main show? The main show, huh? This woman is just as straightforward as Mr. Vernon. Alright, let's get to it then. Before you begin your testimony, would you mind scooting up close to the table for me? Of course. After all, I'm quite a cool character. Oh my god. Speech review. I went to his office only once. The time was maybe 8 in the evening. However, I didn't step inside. When I stopped by, the ringleader was sleeping. I was worried he'd get angry if I woke him, so I returned to our green room. Why is this green room? This room doesn't look green. A time after, I heard Julia scream. I heard Julia screams. No, it's Julia's screams, okay. My screen is too dusty again, because now it's bright sunlight, evil sunlight coming from outside, and it's, for the most part, I can see my screen, but like, you know, the dust can get a bit in the way. Normally it doesn't bother me. I sprinted to the office where her screams were coming from to find his corpse. Are you alright, miss? Whatever could you mean? Is she like schizophrenic or something, like multiple personalities? When you recall the incident in question, it looked like you were trembling. I believe you're mistaken. Such affairs hardly affect me. Few people would use such affairs to describe a murder. Oz Aston, you seem to be a rather unique individual. You haven't touched that ice lolly you're holding, so why carry it around with you? Perhaps... Mr. Vernon said he was acting out a passionate character on stage, right? And maybe Miss Aston is also playing a character. You're not exactly on stage, so why keep up the act? Besides, what character is this supposed to be? One with a split personality? Yeah. Since Mr. Vernon with his fire was made to focus on his passion, Miss Aston's probably acting out a cool-headed character. Thinking about it like that, I do feel quite sympathetic. Detective Stena, what's the matter? Dear Lord, if I haven't figured it out, Miss Aston's lying to you. Excuse me? What kind of accusation is that? Miss Aston, you said you never opened the office door, right? Then how could you know the victim was sleeping? Well, there's a perfectly good explanation for that. The explanation is that you're the culprit. You snuck in while he was sleeping and killed the man. She pulled out the gun. She must not have lied about not She must have lied about not having opened the door. Yeah! That's a rather hasty conclusion to make. And would you please work on that habit you have of whipping your gun out all the time? You know what they say about old habits. Detective Thana's logic. It seems sound at first, but is it true? Aren't there any clues that contradict her hypothesis? Let's print out her claim and check it against other documents. If I want to support or oppose someone else's opinion, I have to print out the transcript, alright? So print. She must have lied about not having opened the door. Hasty conclusion make Redfin's comment X. What? She on Twitter? Let's see. Well, there's no evidence of her finger, I mean footprints or anything. Oh yeah, there's a gloved hand. Which characters have gloves and which don't? I haven't really paid attention to their hands. I think she's having... Is she wearing a glove? I think we have to prove this wrong. Warm tea. Okay, it's tea, so it's not the ice. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Yes. Yes, me too. Spin this. So she's not very... Well, she can hit somebody with her. Huh? Oh. So here we get like a... Why is she holding a popsicle? Do we have her witness statement? Aston, yes, so I sprinted to the office where screams were coming from to find his car. Ah, okay, so I went to his office only once. The time was 8 in the evening. However, I didn't step inside. I stopped by the ringleader was sleeping. I was worried again, so I returned to a green room. Yeah, it's probably not this, but this. Yeah, alright, let's say what does the log say? Well, how do we get to the log? this is the log. So, yeah. You never opened the office door. How could you know the victim was sleeping? Why is the transcript only these lines? I'm a bit confused. Let's just try these. Oh, okay, mystery solved. Detective Tena. What's wrong? If you pour too much admiration on me, that might lead to some problems. It's not that, I don't think she's lying. What? Part of Miss Aston's statement about not opening the door, she wasn't lying. Huh? Why do you say that? Please have a look at the witness statement we just wrote out. When she said she didn't open the door, you didn't detect any sort of abnormal heartbeat. Ah. Indeed, if your claim were true, detective, you should have detected some abnormality in her heart rate when she got to that part of her statements. Alright, then what happened? How did Aston know the victim was sleeping? The reason Miss Aston knew the victim was asleep was maybe it's because... Why can't we just ask her? How did Aston know the victim was sleeping before setting foot in the room? It could be really helpful if we had information on the state of the victim at that time. Snoring. Okay, it's just... Yes. But yeah, she has gloves. Of course, the sound. What sound? Snoring. Right when I was about to open the door, I heard the ringleader snores. The snoring was a thing to behold. So you heard the victim snores and knew he was asleep. You really expect us to believe that? It's true. Why are you doing this? Why only prove my claims wrong? What am I supposed to say to that? When the sergeant read the memory of the chair at the scene of the crime, she said she heard snoring. The snoring only stopped after there was a dull thud. The victim was snoring right up to the moment he was killed. Then I can see no logic that leads to any sort of falsehood in her statement. Congratulations, Note, you passed the last test. That was not a test. Could we just say it was? Logical! So, was it none of these three guys, the killer, or is it still the clown, or... So is my name cleared for now? It is. Sorry to have casted blame where it didn't belong. No, it's quite alright. As I said, I'm a cool-headed person, so it's natural for me to raise suspicion. Who's gonna tell her? I should. Miss Oz Aston, you don't look the least bit cool with that, with what's going on. Instead of cool, I'd go with someone suffering from a mental breakdown. Just overall concept of carrying around an ice lolly to look cool is one-dimensional, but it actually comes off sort of cute, no? How could you? You're just acting cool because that's the character you play on stage, huh? You're right. When the ringleader first saw my skill, he said, "So you can control ice, huh? Let's make you the Ice Queen." He said that I had to change my personality, my attire, even the temperature of the green room to match that chill. This guy was insane, huh? I'm not the most skilled actor, so I try my hardest to keep up the cold attitude, but it seems like it's no use. We are super logical. I do believe we need to find out more about the victim, Jean-Henri Houdin. Could you give a statement about what sort of person Houdin was and what your opinions were of him? I'd like you to personally focus on the role he forced upon you. Okay, I'll try. Speech review. Honestly, it was Yulia who suffered the most, but that's not to say she did anything to deserve that. The ringleader of the set of Yulia, I was tricked into hiring that girl. Keller can make things float, but only those close enough she could reach out and touch. Reach out and touch faith. If you really think about it, the leader's special ability had to do with soaring through the air, so he must have looked down on her. So the leader also had, like us, he was a staffer too. Wait. So he could like fly or something, or jump really high up, and there was a blood stain on the ceiling of the office where he was killed. So did he like hit his head? Like, was it like an accident or something? Like he was dreaming and then he jumped up and hit his head and died? What about the two disappeared blocks? Anyways, if you really... yeah, so he must have looked down on her. Also, he always envied Vernon for being most popular and tried to throw a spanner in his act. I guess they got into quite a yelling match a while back too. He even tried to put his hands on me once. Fortunately, he stopped right before hitting me. That's all I can think of right now. Could I leave now? Indeed, you put yourself through enough. Don't go too far though. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Let's do a save. Oh my god, we're almost full. The victim was absolute human filth. Honestly, I find myself thinking I'm glad he was killed. That's not something a detective should be saying. No one in this world deserves death. I disagree. Some people do deserve death, but I don't know enough about the ringleader to be sure. Still so untainted, our Brian. At the very least, the fact he was murdered doesn't seem that odd anymore. From the statements we've collected, I can now see that each of our three suspects had a motive for killing the victim. Is there a single person in this world who deserves death? That's an interesting topic, but nothing we should be fretting about now. There's not a single person in this world who can truly hide a murder. That's the only important topic for the likes of us. Sergeant, all finished with the business you had to attend to. That I am. Here, a present. Ooh. Henry Houdin, collateral. What's this? High velocity object propulsion under 1 centimeter catalyst max speed 240 meters per second. That's quite fast. Able to propel objects under 80 kilograms. So okay, it was his, like the dartboard had all those objects on it, so he had, like, there were cards and stuff stuck into it, so he's the one who threw them. The victim's bureau file. I found it at the nearest gambling den. He must have had urgent business to attend to. He left his bureau file as collateral, and if the bureau had found out about that, he'd have a quick date with Charon for a ride. So the ferryman of the river Styx, I guess. I'm not really surprised. I see that Huden was confirmed staffer. I guess that was a given though, since they said everyone at Trump Tower was a staffer, huh? The victim's skill seems to have been that he was capable of object propulsion, so he was firing things off. Looks like he was able to fire off objects within range of him like rockets. The victim, like the other suspects, made a show of said skill at the circus. But I mean, this bureau file won't be of much use with how things currently stand. So you can ignore that. More importantly, I was listening in on the sport. Have you still not gotten Julia's next statement? We asked about the visit at 7:30, but she said she wanted to make a statement about that later on. Strange. Aston said she heard the victim snoring around 8 o'clock. So between that time he fell asleep. Even if Geller is a culprit, she couldn't have committed the crime at 7:30. Maybe something happened at 7:30 that's difficult for her to talk about. Sounds like you might know something. That's right, Miss Aston's statement just a moment ago gave me a thought. There's a document that spells out exactly what happened during Miss Geller's 7:30 visit to the scene of the crime. The answer is quite obvious when you stop to think about it. I'm gonna go get some tea and I'll be right back. Alright. Then show us. If you think something bad happened to Geller, show us the information that proves what it was. So Geller was reluctant to say she met the victim at 19:30. Considering Aston's statement and the trace we have around 19:30, I think it's safe to say that what happened between the two of them was unpleasant. So the trace. What's this? Victim's palm strong impact. Oh, mystery solved. First try. Miss Aston said the victims once almost struck her, correct? That's right. Thankfully he pulled back, so it remained that he almost struck her. About that, you think it was really almost? Excuse me? You should take a look at the victim's hand in the trace photo. You can clearly see signs of an impact. Now that you mention it, I did notice that. I thought it was strange back then, but so I made a note of it. Then what was it from exactly? A sign of struggle? No, we've confirmed that the victim was alive until 8 o'clock. The blow was struck before then. Well then, Where did the trace come from? The trauma to his palm may have come from when he slapped someone, don't you think? People don't usually just slap an assailant when they're being attacked. There's a good chance this is evidence of an unreciprocated blow. Unreciprocated blow. No way, Aston said it herself. He never actually hit her. I didn't detect an abnormal heartbeat during that part of her statement. That may be true. Miss Aston was never struck by the victim, but how about the other troop members? The blow was struck at 7:35. At that time there happened to be someone else at the scene of the crime. You don't say? It was none other than the clown of Trump Tower, Julia Geller. So when Julia Geller met the victim at 7:30, the victim assaulted her. You think that's the part she didn't want to discuss? If you were a suspect in a murder case, you'd certainly want to hide the truth regarding your conflict with the victim. Clown of Trump Tower, yeah. We live in clown world. Also, some people hide the fact they have been victims of crimes due to self-esteem issues. Reasons aside. Note, since you found out the truth, Geller now has no reason to withhold her statement. Calling Julia Geller. What's the matter? Miss Geller, let me be straightforward with you so we don't end up tiring each other out. You entered the scene of the crime at 7:30. Did the victim then assault you? How do you find out about that? We have our ways. Does that mean you're admitting the assault took place? No. We didn't get into a heated discussion, but the ringleader didn't lay a hand on me. Maybe he didn't lay a hand, but he threw something at her. And she has this, like maybe she got a black eye or something. Like the patch on her eye. It would be wise for you to tell us the truth. But let's check. Yeah, like here she doesn't have any eye patch or anything. So yeah, she probably got a black eye or something, or maybe even lost an eye, who knows. I just told you the truth, he didn't. What might I have done for him to want to hit me? Well, I can't think of a reason why he might have resorted to violence. After all, such an action is beyond justification. Yet as to why the victim held ill will toward you, we've heard a few things. As a reason the victim held a grudge against you, Miss Geller, might have to do with our victim Hudan was said to have particularly disliked Julia Geller. We already heard why that might have been. Okay, no conversation. Is it? I don't expect, but like the range is different for their manipulation powers. Able to control 2 objects at once. Ringleader's range. Extra info 2. Why does he normally stay out until morning the nights after performances? Like, is he getting drunk or what? Playing World of Warcraft all night? A gambling debt. He was crossing the line with how much slander he threw away, and Gela got his lion's share. Only thing he could do was jump high. But isn't that a lie? Like, he had other skills too than jumping high. I don't think it's the gambling debt, but let's try since we're here. Okay, no. Ah, I heard Julia scream. No, wait, that's just when he was killed already. What's this? Ringleader said Julia, I was tricked into hiring that girl. Okay, that was it. We heard that the victim often said he was tricked into hiring you. Miss Geller, your skill is limited in a number of ways, thus there's a limit to the number of stunts you're able to show us. It does differ from the victim's expectations. Maybe that's why the victim... He didn't hit me, he didn't. And would the victim of an assault ever say that? She's sticking to her guns. Maybe this is about her pride after all. That thing must be stifling. Excuse me? You're not performing, yet you choose to cover half your face. That mask, do you normally wear it around? Miss Geller, would you mind showing us your face? Could we see what's under the mask? First try, yeah, first try, exactly. Please keep it a secret from the others. Yeah, she had a black eye. I was right. I'm so smart. Did the victim give you that bruise? He did, and I'm sorry I hid it from you. I was afraid you might suspect me for the culprit, but more than that, I didn't want the other troop members to find out. Why didn't you want them to find out? Later the victim was the bad guy, not you. That's not true. I'm the bad one here. What's that supposed to mean? Well, we'll hear the details when she makes a statement. Please tell us about the relationship with the victim. Okay, I'll tell you, though I doubt this is the information you're looking for. These aren't the droids you're looking for. I'm just looking at the bee spinning in the chat. First try bee. It's very hypnotic. At first I was making ends meet by holding street performances. That's when I familiarized myself with the stunts I perform on stage these days. Then one day, the ringleader just happened to see those stunts and asked me to come perform at the Trump Tower. It was later when I learned that the ringleader was looking for a new troop member with telekinesis and mistakenly assumed that I used telekinesis to pull off my stunts. It was because of him that I found my way into the circus, but I was unable to manipulate faraway objects like he was hoping. I tried to hide the fact from him at first, but he ended up finding me out. It was natural for the ringleader to have a certain level of detest toward me. I don't blame him for hitting me. Well, that statement came out completely different than I was expecting it to. First things first, when you say stunts you perform on stage, what sort of stunts exactly? They call me the jumping jester, jumping jack flash, but it's hard to put what I do in the words exactly. You're talking about this? I picked it up at near the entrance to the theater, a poster for Trump Tower. So the floating clown up there is you, Miss Geller. Oh, upskirt jester. Fiery, passionate magician, cold-blooded, frosty acrobat. Tonight 6, see you on Dartford Road. And last but not least, mysterious dark-robed figure who soars through the air. Who could he be? It's the dead guy. It is. I jump as high as I can into the air and then use my skill to stop in mid-air. As I repeat the jump and hover, I can climb higher and higher. Once I'm up there, I put on a show like I'm about to plummet to the ground. It's about eliciting the best reaction from the audience. It definitely sounds quite complicated. I'd better take this poster with me to keep it all fresh in my mind. Wait, but so how does she use her powers? Because maximum object weight is 20 kilograms. I'm pretty sure she's heavier than that. Or because it says able to control 2 objects at once. If she controls 2 objects, does it mean that 2 objects are like can be 40 kilograms? Maybe she could be 40 kilograms. Can she use it twice on herself? Or I don't really understand how that works, but I guess we will find out. Also, there's one more detail that concerns me. You said you didn't think much of the victim striking you, right? It's not that I didn't think much of it, but I can understand why he did it. This is indeed strange, yeah. I think you are referring to what I just said. You understand, was he prone to using violence with you? I want to ask her outright if she's completely serious about what she said, but I'm quite sure that's the case regardless. After all, there were 0 abnormal heartbeats detected during her statement. This place, Trump Tower, is the first place where I feel like I really belong. All the other troop members shed same wounds as me. Same wounds? Even if we were to explain it to you, Detective Case, I hardly think you'd understand. From the moment we are born into this world, every event we staffers go through forms a wound we carry with us. Oh, it's like Touko Pouko from Studio Julmahuvi, but you have to be Finnish to understand what I'm talking about. I understand how and why the ringleader became the person he was. It's the same for everyone in this troop. I doubt Mr. Vernon or Miss Aston would share the sentiment. Trump Tower is everything to me, yet I deceive the people here. It only follows that I should be punished for my deception. I can read her heart rate because she is not touching the table, but as a seasoned interrogations expert, I can tell you those aren't eyes of a liar. Wait, why does she have to touch the table for the heartbeat monitor to work? I just don't understand. As it turns out, everything that happened at 7:30 was as expected. However, it's hard to say that any of this counts as progress. Something makes me feel like I only know a bunch of information I don't really care to know. I just hope new statement we just obtained gives us something to go on during the investigation. I think we heard all we're going to from our suspects, so have you solved any part of this riddle? I'm sure that neither Mr. Vernon nor Miss Aston stepped foot in our crime scene that day, though they both got all the way up to the door. When you're dealing with staffers, murder from a distance is not out of the question. Just standing in front of a room is enough to raise suspicion. And really step back and look at it, the problem is we still don't know how the victim was murdered. After all, we haven't found our missing murder weapon. We got a good deal of clues to go on. It's time we started bouncing ideas off each other. Bouncy ball. Bouncy ball. Even if we start bouncing ideas off each other, which idea should we start with? First off, we require a means of identifying our suspect. Brian, you remember that favor I asked? Oh, speaking of that case, I mean, it's note right now, right? I have something for you. You really don't need to correct yourself there. This is another trace photo. That's right, it's a photo I took in front of the ringleader's office. Ah, okay, so outside, okay. So, yeah, Geller, Aston, Vernon, Geller, and impression square shapes. It's the same square shape as was inside the room. So what are those square shapes? And it's like 30 minutes before he could have been killed, but 30 minutes before the body was discovered. In places with a lot of foot traffic like corridors, it's hard to identify specific footprints, but there weren't many people who stopped in front of the door. Because all of our suspects routinely wear gloves, we had no fingerprints, but we were able to identify the footprints from the foot sizes. From that, you can get an estimate of when the victim is killed. You do Kachan quick. Make sure this matches the information we collected thus far. First off, we've discussed the set of footprints Julia Geller left at 7:30 more than a few times. These were the first. That's when Geller was assaulted by our victim, yet it doesn't seem as though Geller holds any sort of grudge regarding that. As for the next set of footprints, 8 o'clock, as Aston swung by the room. According to her statement, she didn't enter the room. However, she did say she heard him snoring. We were able to prove that statement true through Detective Zina's skill, showing that the victim was alive up to that point. Miss Aston was the last person to witness any sign of the victim was still alive. Frederick Vernon visited the room at 8:45. He testified that he came at 8:30, but it seems he was off by 15 minutes. Vernon says he knocked, but there was no response. Thus, we cannot confirm nor deny whether our victim was still among the living at the time. The last set of footprints were made at 9 o'clock. These were made by Julia Geller when Julia Geller came up during the body of the victim, up on the body, whatever. After that, Aston and Vernon reached the scene of the crime, but I decided not to mark the prints since they aren't pertinent to the case. I guess that makes sense. There is one other piece of trace evidence that stood out to me, so I marked it on the photo. That's a matter for a later time. When we put all that information together, we can estimate the time of death for the victim. Somewhere between Oz Aston's visit at 8 o'clock when the body was discovered at 9 o'clock. Logical. We didn't even have to solve anything. We are so logical. Comes automatically. Great, we got a time of death, so that counts as progress in the investigation, right? I can't agree with you on that. After all, each of our suspects visited the scene within that 1 hour window. Isn't that true? Yeah, I guess we still don't know anything. I was just about to disagree with myself. We're still clueless, huh? What's wrong with her? Just don't mind her. I see. Well, the last person to confirm our suspect was alive is Miss Aston. The first to confirm his death is Miss Geller. And Mr. Vernon dropped in time between the fact that all 3 suspects can still be suspected of the crime means nothing has changed. How unfortunate. If we could narrow down that window of time, we might be able to narrow down our list of suspects. What if the victim was already dead when Vernon visited the scene of the crime? What if we had a way of proving that? If we were truly able to do that, we could clear Geller's subsequent visit and our suspicions it was her. It is not but wishful thinking. Is it though? Note, what do you think? Me? What do I think? Is there nothing I can raise an eyebrow at? Is there any clue we've collected so far that can lead true to her suspicion? If we consider how Miss Aston was able to confirm the victim was alive. Yeah, because Aston heard the snoring, but Vernon didn't. I think that's what they're talking about. Maybe we could make use of the opposite. I hate it, I cannot use the mouse wheel to move these. But yeah, now I remember in Murders on Yangtze River you could use the mouse wheel, but it was like, or no, maybe you couldn't, but like, yeah, it was so small, like there was this small slider that was really difficult to click. So okay, Aston sleeping. How about Vernon? So is it like this? No. I couldn't hear a slightest bit of movement from inside. Okay, is it this one? Yes. Sold! No snoring, right? Yeah. Although it doesn't necessarily mean he was dead, maybe he just stopped snoring. When Mr. Vernon visited the scene of the crime, he said he couldn't hear even the faintest rustling from inside. Moreover, we didn't detect an abnormal heartbeat when he said that. Indeed, thus we have no way of knowing whether our victim was dead or alive at that time. That's not true. There's a high possibility the victim was already dead at that time. Well, what? How can you say that with any certainty? The memory survey. When Sergeant read the memories of the chair our corpses was found in, she heard the victim's snores. Ah, yeah. She was snoring, and yeah, he's right. He was snoring, and then there was a thump, and then the snoring stopped. Yes, and the snoring continued before cutting out at one particular moment. Right, and what moment might that have been? The moment the victim was killed. Isn't that obvious? Do you know any dead people who can snore? Snoring zombies, that sounds like next big thing, because they were, you know, slow zombies, then fast zombies, and next thing is snoring zombies. The important part isn't that the victim stopped snoring. What's important is the fact that the snoring continued until the moment the victim was killed. I see. If the victim were still alive when Vernon dropped by the room, he would have heard the snores coming from inside, yet he didn't hear a single sound. In other words, when Mr. Vernon stopped at 8:45, it was after the victim had been murdered. That means any suspicions we had of Geller and her visiting the scene after are cleared. That's not right. Julia Geller's skill is indiscernible object manipulation, so she's basically telekinetic, no? Even if she is not standing right in front of the door, couldn't she have killed the victim through a wall or something? About that, I don't believe Miss Geller could have killed the victim from a distance. You're waiting for now to say that. Note, the reason we weren't able to prove Julia Geller was the murderer was because of the strange way she approached the victim and the possibility of a murder from a distance. Is there a reason for you to change your heart? After arriving here and the things I've heard so far, I believe you can say we have new information on Miss Geller. This information proves that Miss Geller couldn't have committed a murder from a distance. I got a document that proves it. Julia Geller was unable to kill the victim with remote manipulation of a weapon. I should find the document that proves it. Does it mean that she can only use, like, is the government thingy wrong? That, like, maybe she can only use the power on herself? I don't know, let's try these. Yeah, so maybe this. It was later when I learned that the ringleader was looking for a new troop member with telekinesis and mistakenly assumed that I used telekinesis to pull off my stunts. It was because of him that I found my way into the circus, but I was unable to manipulate faraway objects like he was hoping. Did it? Something in her profile. Nope, it was in her statements. Aston's testimony. Miss Aston spoke of something regarding Miss Geller briefly during her second testimony that piqued my interest. Right, I remember Aston saying the victim tormented Geller the most, right? Yes? Correct. The reason for that being Geller's skill. Geller is able to make objects float, but she can't use the power however she'd like. Even if this were a simple case of telekinesis, it would take great powers of manipulation to kill someone through a wall. But with Miss Geller only able to float some objects, do you really think she'd be able to kill from afar? Is there a chance that Aston is wrong about all that? It seems as though these people all use their skills during the performances, so unless they're hiding what they can do on purpose, the possibility she's got the wrong idea is quite low. It turns out that Geller would have needed to get quite close to the victim to commit the murder. So we are right back to our original hypothesis. Yet the conclusion this leads us to is the exact opposite. As long as it stands that Miss Geller didn't enter the scene of the crime during the window of time we confirmed the victim died, Julia Geller had no means of carrying out the murder. Maybe she just threw a baseball through the window, like maybe it was open during the murder, and when she came to find the body, she closed the window and threw out the baseball in the other order. Logical. Okay, a baseball, but maybe she used like a shot put sphere using a catapult or something. Like maybe there were no staffer powers at work here. Anyway, with this, we can clear Julia Geller of suspicion. We have narrowed down our suspects to 2. But in the end, until we find out how the victim was murdered, it's going to be impossible to identify our murderer. We still haven't figured out anything about our murder weapon either. Yeah, the shot put sphere ball, what is it called? We still know nothing about the most important details of this case. If I may, though I can't say anything for certain, I had a thought about our murder weapon. Maybe our murder weapon wasn't hidden. Do you think it might have actually vanished? Yeah, like ice. Vanished? It seems that you and I were having the same thought. One of our suspects is able to craft a weapon just like that. Precisely, it's possible because of the skill that suspect has. These two are talking about the suspect's skills. Perhaps they're referring to this. Of course, it's the ice bitch. Ice, baby. The skill able to make a disappearing weapon is none other than Oz Aston's chain ice formation, right? In other words, you two think she crafted a weapon from ice? Precisely. That's precisely what I think. From the state of the corpse, it's clear that the weapon was a heavy, blunt instrument, yes? Mystery solved. Except we don't know how, like... Because if she didn't enter the room, how did she use that? And what's the blood stain on the ceiling? There's no way of hiding such a thing. It's obvious that it vanished, melting into a puddle. But there was no puddle unless it was mixed, because there was a tea puddle. But wouldn't her powers notice the difference, that there was like just no ice, purified water mixed with the tea? Well, I just gave myself a goose flesh. Speaking of puddles, there was one at the scene of the crime, no? Yet, even if the weapon were made of ice, Miss Aston never opened the door. There are no footprints that indicate she ever entered the premises. Well, she must have had her ways, no? Her ways are exactly what we're here to investigate. There may have been a way around leaving footprints. The blocks. Is the blocks, like maybe somebody stepped on the blocks when he was sleeping? Wait. Yeah, maybe she... Whatever, maybe she made them out of ice or whatever. And she walked on them and then she like walloped him whereas he was sleeping. Yeah. I can't go to the inventory right now, so I cannot illustrate what I think. If you take a good look at the trace photo, there were a few square impressions left at the scene of the crime. Yeah, so here, like maybe she stepped here, and then she was standing here. And like, you know, let's assume that this is a bit higher, like this block. And then she hit him over the back of the head from like above, because it's quite long. If he was like sleeping here. One of them can levitate, but not the ice lady. Yeah, she can't levitate, but like maybe she opened the door, she put the blocks here or whatever they are, or maybe they're just like a, you know, wooden boards. But like, why would she like? No, she wouldn't know that you cannot. Like, she shouldn't leave shoe prints. So I don't know. Maybe it's not. So yeah, what on earth could have left such impressions? I thought they might have been little stepping stones made of ice. Yeah. But why are they so perfect? Usually ice isn't that perfect. If Aston were to only step on blocks made of ice, it would be possible for her to hide her footprints. It was just a thought, but what do you think? But why does she have to use ice? Shouldn't she just use, you know, stepping stones? Or not stones, they are quite heavy, but like, yeah, wooden blocks. And take them back when she left. As the Americans say, Brian, give me some skin. Indeed. Well, Sergeant, she seems spotted by something. Okay, let's go with that. Let's say the killer crept in on ice slabs and killed the victim with a blunt instrument made of ice. Then what would she do on her way back? She could just leave them where they were. No, they'd melt anyway. But shouldn't there be blood on the ice stick or whatever? What if someone went into the room before they had time to melt? Would she be able to stand guard in front of the room with the corpse until then? Well... yeah, she could have somehow melted them. Or maybe it's both the ice guy and the fire guy. Instead of leaving footprints, leave a very specific ice prints and indicate you are the murderer. Yeah. And I don't think you have to use ice, like said it already, to make those block prints. It's a bit of a logical stretch, but just in case, shall I help them work through this? How could she have melted the ice in a jiffy? It's not as though the means aren't there. In order to give Thena's and Brian's logic validity, we need to find a method of melting said ice weapon. I think it would help if I point out the method with which someone could melt that ice. The T, yeah, I was thinking about it too. Mug. But is it like big enough? Like, you know, the murder weapon is gonna be much bigger than the T itself. No? Okay, how about the warm tea? And this warm tea spilled on it. Puddle stepped in shortly after. No? Was this still hot? I don't think it... yeah. How about the flower pot? Okay, let's just try the most obvious option, because this guy can make fire. Okay. If Vernon used his ignition skill, it would have been possible for them to have melted the ice slabs. Indeed, that's the ticket. But shouldn't there be like burn marks wherever he used that? Or how precisely can he direct the fire? Aston and Vernon are accomplices in this crime. Oh, give me some skin. I'll take a rain check. I'll write you in for 8 o'clock tonight then. Note, you're not actually entertaining their idea, are you? Don't you think it fits? The water on the floor is clearly what Aston used for her skill's catalyst. No, because it's tea, right? Then they must have melted the ice they used for the murder weapon with Vernon's skill. That's why the carpet was soaked. Are there really no holes in Detective Thena and Detective Brian's reasoning? I should have one more look at the clues I gathered. There might be something I'm missing somewhere. Was the puddle on the carpet really made when blocks of ice made by Miss Aston melted? I clearly remember Aston's skill having an important difference when compared to the other suspects. Yeah, it has to be purified. Purified water. Warm tea. I have lukewarm tea. Mystery salt again. My apologies, but the water left on the floor couldn't have served as a catalyst. Excuse me, what are you saying exactly? Note, are you a spy? Please just have a quick look at Aston's bureau file. Unlike our other suspects, Miss Aston's skill needs a catalyst. These catalysts serve as certain conditions that need to be met for the skill to be put into use. In Aston's case, she needs water to use her skill. Yes, but specifically she needs purified water to use her skill. Why does that matter? Read the documents carefully. The liquid at the scene of the crime was entirely black tea. I see. Black tea is hardly purified water. Miss Aston couldn't have used it as her catalyst. Then our logic is... If I were a game dev and I put in a fire and ice character, I would not be able to resist the use both in the crime. Yeah, but let's see how smart the game devs are, like how ingenious the conclusion will be. Hogwash. I guess it is. Brian, I'd like to return the skin you slapped me. Rather unfortunate. I thought our logic was quite sound. No, because you're dumb. That's why I'm there. Now she's going on about returns. Logical. Oh. So what? Did we finish the chapter or something? Giving hope to people who've got nothing going for them only to rip that hope away. You're absolutely wicked. Note. I would hardly say we got nothing going for us. Did I do something wrong? Well, their logic didn't really have a leg to stand on in the first place. If Aston had made a weapon out of ice, we would have found a large tub to hold all that water. Though I must say it was rather entertaining. Who's calling who wicked now? One way or another, we still got the same problem. After all this, we still have no one who could have killed the victim. That's where you're wrong. As long as we had the victim's corpse on our hands, a killer has to be out there. However, we are considering that every staffer in this troop could be the culprit. We couldn't have missed a smidge of a clue. Then it's all about the ice, huh? We are solving mysteries left and right, and we get logical stamp all the time. We are so good. Exactly. We are so fucking good. Best ever. You really got a thing for ice, don't you, Detective Thena? Yet, from the lack of footprints, it's clear that no one entered the room during the time window when our victim died, and they couldn't have just flown in. Plus, I simply cannot think of a way for any of them to have committed a crime without stepping foot inside. After all, the range of our suspects' skills are also short. How on earth did this happen then? This is the first time all 3 members of our division have used their skills and not been able to find the culprit. But did they just consider that, you know, the murder weapon might be somewhere else, you know, not in the room? Like, maybe the killer used ice and then put the ice in a, you know, a toilet or something. So we had to rely on our 4th member. You're talking about me again. Indeed, you're our newest member, so try your hand. The responsibility shoveled onto the rookie is more burdensome than I thought. Even without her saying that, I have no intention of giving up at this point. Accepting suicide, we got to have a culprit on the loose. However, we got no clues at the crime scene to go on. Every piece of information contradicts another. Let me think, is there anyone we are leaving out? Someone who could have made the impossible possible. The only possibility we talked about that seems genuinely feasible is... So is it suicide? Case overview. The victim's name is John Henry Houdin. Ringleader is Trump's Circus. He was found in his office and the skull of his car is gruesomely caved in. The suspects are the other 3 members of Trump Tower troop who worked under him. All 4 are staffers. No murder weapon has been found, so we can't tell how exactly the victim was killed. All about the eyes. The lack of footprints is clear that no one entered the room during our window when our victim died. They could have just flown in. Considering every staffer in this troop could be the culprit, we couldn't have missed a smidge of a clue. See if this one... Didn't we already discuss this? But... Square shapes. No. How about this? Impression square shapes. Okay, how about both are number 5. Alright, so what are these square shapes? Guess we don't have to deal with them yet. Couldn't have just flown in. How about... Let's try this. Wait, how about... Because Geller is known as the flying whatever, flying clown or something. Do we have... We are contradicting each other, so we have to work out which contradiction is invalid. Sounds like a cool idea. I guess. How about if we combine these? Like, yeah, let's see. Obviously, we oppose both commands. Okay. Jump high. Soaring through the air. No. Soaring through. How about the blood stain in the ceiling? Why can't we? Oh, okay, we have. Okay, I didn't. Well, can we use this? Yes. There may have been one other person, someone able to enter the room without leaving a single trace. In the end, it's back to the ice, huh? We already concluded that wasn't the case. Your theory is starting to be less entertaining. But note, you're not making much sense either. Unless our culprit can sprout wings and fly, there's no way they could have possibly avoided being detected by me and Sarge. That's exactly what happened. Our culprit flew. Excuse me? None of our suspects have skill like that. One does. But you're right, none can fly per se. Maybe we can say it's more like jumping through the air. So it's double jump. It's like a Metroidvania character. What? Jumping through the air? Feel like I've read something like that before. Maybe right here? Right, there. The jumping jester. Ah, this poster. Right here. Person we'll be searching for is pictured right here. The jumping jester was able to enter the scene of the crime without leaving a single footprint. Thus it's possible that our jumping jester was able to murder the victim. And out of all the people we know, I can only think of one jester. Clown of Trump Tower, Julia Geller. For that one person only, this crime becomes possible. I held on the poster just so it would be easier to present as a clue. Yeah. Like, I think I tried to check for the poster previously, but it wasn't there, or maybe I just didn't press the arrow long enough. In the end, after winding around for this long, we are back to the beginning with Geller being our culprit. No, if we had singled out Geller as our culprit in the beginning, she would have had a number of ways to argue how she was innocent. However, now that we reached this point and erased every other possibility, the conclusion may be the same, but we're finally coming face to face with the truth of this case for the first time. As unfortunate as the truth may be. Logical! Now we're gonna beat her up again to make her tell the truth. What now? Miss Geller, we saw the poster with all of you on it. We're well aware of the fantastic stunt you're all able to pull off. Yes, and? But of course your stunt, Miss Geller. What was it again? I can't quite remember. If you got nothing to say to me, could I go back with the others? No, stop with fanfare, get to the point. Miss Geller, your stunt is being able to walk on air, isn't it? Actually, it's leaping. I mean, leaping, dancing, it's all basically the same thing. The important thing is that you were able to enter the scene of the crime without leaving a single footprint using that stunt of yours. So it seems. Huh? Why does that surprise you? What? No, you're not using that as a way of suspecting me for this, are you? But you're the only person who was able to enter the scene of the crime without leaving any footprints. I'm always going in and out of there. Even if I were to leave footprints after committing some sort of crime, I could say they're from shortly before. Yeah. You actually couldn't have because Detective Brian's... Oh, right. She doesn't know we can't tell anything to the time trace evidence was left. In other words, even if Miss Geller is our culprit, even if I were the killer, I couldn't have to go through trouble of hovering. Plus, I'm not that good at controlling my skill in the first place. I don't really use it except on stage. Or is that you have evidence I used my skill at the scene of the crime? About that, could you give me a moment? What should I do? What do you think? Geller's claim is reasonable. After all, there's no way for her to know of Brian's skill. She's right, she'd have no reason to float through the air to enter the room. Even if she were to leave a set of footprints, we'd have no way of proving those prints were left at the time of the crime without my skill. Can't be. Did I get it wrong again? Yeah. Still, I think you got the right idea, Note. Huh? In her statements thus far, Geller's been quite easy to get worked up, but now that she's beginning to be pointed out as our prime suspect. Will you be much longer? Could you wait outside for a moment? See, she's keeping calm and collected. She probably expected this moment would come, and she's prepared her counter-arguments well. Well, I think that's the case. We can't be sure. Now, what you're saying sounds plausible. What do the rest of you think? When it comes to Thina and the suspect's psyche, she's never wrong. I believe you can trust her call. Detective Thina, as I should have known, there's a reason she's in charge of the interrogations. Still comes as a shock, yeah. Geller stepped through the air when she entered our crime scene, but her reason for doing so wasn't to hide any trace of her being there. In other words, Miss Geller had a different reason for using her skill. I'm not sure what that could be though. We're still lacking some sort of clue. You really think so? 3 staffers have already looked into the case. We've uncovered lies, detected the invisible, and read into the past. No matter the skill, it's impossible for a culprit not to leave behind some sort of clue. A clue remains. We just overlooked it. We wrote it off as something that didn't turn into the case, because it was all too neat. It's not the clues that are lacking, but our overall logic. That's my feeling in this case. In the end, it's all feelings and perceptions. Aston confirmed that the victim was alive at 8 o'clock, and Vernon confirmed he was dead by 8:45. Somewhere in between, Geller must have used her skill to sneak into the room. When she did, she must have left us a clue. Is there really nothing to go on? With everything at the scene of the crime, was there no suspicious evidence left during the time frame our crime was committed? So if Geller is really our killer, she must have visited the scene of the crime between 8 and 8:45. She would have leaped through the air to enter the room, but did she leave any trace evidence of having done that? The evidence is not non-existent, but instead undiscovered. Or how to... Yeah, something like that in the Shen game. I don't recall exactly quotations. Okay, how about... Can we finally use the square shapes? Leaping leftovers. Yeah, okay, finally the squares come into play. Squaresoft. When you say clue, something does come to mind. There were those square impressions left at the crime scene. Do you remember them? Like the ones Brian claimed were stepping stones made of ice. He concluded that they weren't ice in the end. Exactly. Then we naturally just moved past them. I guess should be moved on or past. Okay, but now I'm thinking about them again. They were made at 8:30. That's within the time frame the victim was murdered. Thus they must be connected to the crime. But why were they even made? But that it's not just those impressions. There are still so many clues in this case we can't come up with proper explanations for. Our overall hypothesis was wrong. Something I believed to be true has turned out to be false. If that one falsehood led to all these errors. Sergeant, yes? What is it? I'm gonna make a bit of a mess. Oh, it's gonna take a shit over the walls. Hexalogic? What's going on? I knew a guy whose nickname was Hexa. Hey, stop, what are you doing? Why are you fooling around with these official documents? Note, I think you should fix this bad habit of yours of taking your stress out on inanimate objects. This isn't about stress. If it's not, then we even have more to worry about. I've been thinking about things all wrong. The secrets hiding deepest can be solved simply by connecting two clues. However, if we connect all the fragments left in different places, I have no idea what you're going on about, but are you saying you can make sense of this? I am. I'm using supernatural abilities to investigate a case where someone with supernatural ability killed someone else with a supernatural ability. In this situation, it would be insane to stick with common sense. Maybe the clown chick caused the victim to float up in the air to hit his head against the ceiling. I've already gathered my clues. Good quote. You mean that using supernatural against supernatural, uncommon sense. Yeah, I agree. I've already gathered my clues. Let's toss out common sense. Let's take every basis of thought and smash them all. This is like the mind palace in the Shen game. Select one clue from each of the 6 documents that points to the same conclusion. Press combine button at the center. Try a combination to see how many clues you've correctly connected. Try to find those 6 clues that point to the same conclusion. Okay, this seems like fun. It would be insane to use common sense, yeah. For this one, soaring through the air. Jumping Chester, or is it this guy? Soar through the air. These both are soar through the air. Okay, the square shapes. Square. Okay, we can just move like this. Stepping stones. I cannot think of a way any of them to have committed a crime without stepping foot inside. After all, range of our... is this support or oppose? Maybe just... First, perform with the stunts. Things like that. Okay, let's see. Combine. 2 matched correctly. Okay, let's do it like this. Yeah. Okay, so it's the... I guess it's the impressions, the square shapes are the correct ones. So jumping Chester. Why does she looks like Freeren, right? She doesn't have the elf ears, but she makes me think of Freeren. Keller can make things float. I don't know, familiarize myself. Well, maybe I shouldn't change too many things because... Okay, 4 matched. And okay, it shows which are the correct ones as well. Or does it? Stepping stones. If those are skillful enough to fool us about their skills, make it necessary to check them out. Maybe that's probably. Let's see. So wait, is this wrong? No, that was right. So maybe this one. I don't think it's. So this might be the one that's wrong. There's probably no way we can pin this on Trump. Not yet. That comes at the end game. Ooh, we did it. Julia Geller. You are the guilty party somehow. Maybe. I've unlocked it. Is Uri Geller gonna sue this game as well? Is he still alive? Because he complained about like Pokemon because Alakazam or something is inspired by Uri Geller and looks sinister, so he didn't like it. So how about this game then? That's it. If you think about it like that, it explains everything. And to prove it, Miss Geller, please come back in. Is your strategy session still finishing up? It is. And from this strategy session, we come up with a suggestion for you. What might that be? Wait, let's see what he's gonna do. Miss Geller, your stunt is leaping through the air. So you could show that to Detectives Dana and Brian here. Well, I'm sorry, but that would be difficult. As I said before, I'm not good at controlling my skill. Those two could be in danger if they get there too close. Can't we just go to the yard or something? It's fine. Wait a tick. It's very much not fine. She said it's dangerous for us. You two simply won't get too close when Miss Geller performs her stunt. If you wish, we have no problem setting up a suitable location for you. You just need to show us a single time. If you just show us, I promise we won't bother you or your friends any longer. Wait a second, no, that's quite a promise you're tossing out there. I'll permit it. Pandy, have you lost your marbles? Sorry, I want to see what happens next. Perhaps my curiosity has gotten the better of me. Well, if the Sarge has given her permission, there's nothing we can do about it. Am I the only one who's thinking about her job and salary? I accept. You're not gonna back on our end of the promise, are you? Of course not. I can swear to whatever god you believe in. Well then, let me begin right here. As I said, you mustn't get close. This is my stunt. My word. And people pay to see this? Have you know, I even juggle up here when I take the stage. And the stunt, what on earth? Hey, don't give her that much grief for it. After all, she's showing us for free. That's not it, it's just... Detective Brian, please describe exactly what you're seeing. How does Miss Geller's levitation look through your eyes? She's not levitating. As soon as she rose into the air below her, there's a trace of the same square. The same as the trace evidence left at the scene of the crime. So she creates like invisible boxes? Trace? No, you're a staffer. There must be a contact between two objects for trace to be left. In other words, you're not making yourself float in the air, Miss Geller. You're stepping up and standing there. There's an invisible object under you, and you created it. No. What's this about invisible object? This is all coming out of nowhere. This is your real skill, Miss Geller. You can create invisible objects of any size and manipulate them at will. To put it in official terms, indiscernible object fabrication. What? But her telekinesis. Everyone thought of it like that, but that's not the case. This is the piece of the puzzle that wasn't fitting. Miss Geller, from the very beginning, you've been hiding your true skill. This stunt you have of leaping through the air, it wasn't you were lifting up your body with your skill. Just be making invisible footholds and jumping on them. So I guess it's sort of like creating Minecraft blocks, but they're invisible. The telekinesis, the label sounded rather grandiose, yet the statements of the audience members and those around Geller were consistent, so I never doubted them. Note, you may not know this yet, but it's a serious crime to lie about one's skill in this country. Why would Geller take such risks to hide her skill like that? She only began to hide her skill after coming under the employ of Trump Tower. When you think of all that happened back then, it's rather easy to predict exactly why Miss Geller felt it necessary to hide her true skill. But shouldn't the document have her real skill, like, you know, the government file on her? When the victim first saw Miss Geller leaping through the air, he must have thought, it. I finally found the acrobat I've been looking for, wielding the power of telekinesis. Yet it was too good to be true. Miss Geller's true skill was creating invisible objects. As time passed, Miss Geller realized she wasn't the person ringleader was looking for, thus she began her efforts to hide this fact from him. All of this matches your statement. Isn't that right, Miss Geller? Your string of lies, they were all to keep you at Trump Tower. The truth you try to hide is not just a range or some small intricacy regarding your skill. Now we all know it. The truth of your skill itself was a grand forgery. Your skill doesn't use telekinesis. Telekinesis plays no part in it. How? How did a staffer become an investigator? Dun dun dun. Logical. I think I get it now. I think I understand how all you saw through my lies. It's not just a gentleman there. Every investigator in this room is a staffer, isn't that right? Your bracelets aren't lit up, but you wear them just like other staffers. She found us out. Strictly speaking, I'm no staffer. You have no connections to the bureau, so you wouldn't understand. However, some bureau divisions do employ a number of staffers. They merely keep it confidential so it doesn't interfere with operations. Should you be telling her that? No need to hide such information from our perpetrator. She's gonna get executed anyways, I guess. After all, I doubt she's gonna continue resisting. Just as you said, detective, my skill has nothing to do with telekinesis. Instead, I'm able to create invisible objects as well. So can she create any kind of object, like a sword or a dildo? How about complicated objects like guns? I doubt that works. The objects are more or less cube-shaped, okay, but I can create them in various weights and sizes, making them handy in a variety of situations. That's probably how the word manipulation worked its way into my skill name. So she made like a hammer or something, or a block, and hit the victim over the head with it, like invisible hammer. I've been placing objects on top of my invisible objects and floating them around, calling it telekinesis. She's rather brave to try and deceive everyone around her like that. But of course you know everything now. Yes, how I killed the ringleader. But I used to kill him. Come to think of it, we still haven't figured out the mystery of the vanishing murder weapon. Huh? No way. The weapon, you still haven't found it. Have you? This isn't good. What? In the end, I turned out to be quite a bad girl. You hide my skill from the ringleader, basically my family. I have no excuse for the fraud you accuse me of. However, I didn't kill him. Is she telling the truth? Is she trying to hold out on us? Miss Keller, you're the only person who can say for sure. We can say for sure committed this crime. I couldn't have done it either. After all, there's no murder weapon. You cannot trace evidence on the floor, yes? Do you have any proof it was my skill that left it? As I said before, I had no reason for using my skill to go into that room. Even if I did go in there, I had no weapon to kill him with. You think I could do that to his head with my bare hands? Don't be absurd. Are you trying to make me lose my job here? The audacity. So the time for you to keep your word. No more questions for any of us. I think it might be time to reveal what the vanishing weapon might be. Sergeant, do you have any ideas? Me? No? But obviously you're about to figure it out. You're the player character. When was that made obvious exactly? This is my first day on the job. Right, and I'm relieved to see you're adjusting so well. The arduous path I'm about to set out on is slowly coming to light. Not that I'm thinking about it, we have talked about the disappearing weapon quite a number of times, but I haven't uncovered a single thing about it. All we can be sure is that it had a considerable heft to it, otherwise a single blow to the head wouldn't have smashed in his skull like that. It's not that easy to cave in a person's skull, so the object in question would have to weigh at least 20 kilograms. Obviously, is her, thingy she creates. So for something like that just to disappear, you'd think such a thing to be impossible, but since the deceased remains murder victim, we have to say it's possible. Keller must have some means of making the impossible possible. Let's look through the documents one more time. There might be a piece of information that can be seen in a new light. Is it this one? 20 kilogram maximum object weight. Yes. So that was quite easy. Alright. I finally figured you out, Miss Keller. I know now how you killed the victim. What? Did you really figure it out? What was the weapon? More importantly, where did it go? Was it actually ice in the end? Please let the ice bit go. Yeah, like, okay, I thought it was ice too in the beginning, but that was a bit too obvious, that's why she's saying. The weapon didn't vanish, it was never there, there was no weapon. There was never a weapon to begin with. And honestly, that only serves to further prove that Miss Geller is our culprit. What's that supposed to mean? I truly didn't follow a word. Everyone have a look at Miss Keller's bureau file. Specifically, it checks the note section at the bottom. This is where they write down the brief description of the skill. This is talking about maximum weight that can be transferred to an object or the weight limit of the object to be moved. Now we figured out that Geller's skill isn't telekinesis, so the information written here. Information. It's talking about the properties of the objects Geller can create, yes? So it's not wrong, the object in this file. It's just that our interpretation of it is wrong. Okay, I guess that makes sense. That's right. Now the information on a bureau file refers to the weight, number, size and duration of the objects in question. And the part we should be paying attention to right now is the weight. The weight limit, it's 20 kilograms. I heard that exact number just a second ago. That's the number the sergeant quoted. She said the murder weapon must have weighed at least 20 kilos. Finally, we found an object that meets her condition. That we have. We know what you mean in saying it never existed. Miss Keller. Only Miss Keller could have committed this crime without a weapon. Only she was able to make her own weapon. Can't see it, don't need to carry it around, and it vanishes after time runs out. Use that as a weapon only you can use. But how about the blood? Like surely when she hits the guy in the head, there should be blood on the weapon, like what happens to it when the object vanishes. Used an object you created with your skill to murder your victim. You'd make a better clown than me. You really think I could swing around a cube that weighs 20 kilograms? Let's just imagine I could do that. Our ringleader's head was smashed to bits. Do I look that strong to you? In truth, you wouldn't have to swing it. She can drop it, like she climbs, like she floats and then she drops it. Don't you remember what you said before? Your skill allows you to create objects wherever you will them. You can make one wherever you please. In other words, your transparent objects do not appear at your feet. You can create one anywhere within 2-meter radius of your body. 16-ton weight. For example, above your victim's head. The 20-kilo object that appeared high above the victim's head were to fall straight down. Wouldn't such a situation be within the realm of possibility? That's unfortunate. What is? The situation you describe is impossible. That wouldn't leave the ringleader's head in the state I found it. You can make an object weighing up to 20 kilograms, so long as you dropped it from a high enough. That's just the thing. Dropping it from high enough. Couldn't pull that off. What's that supposed to? I get it. Your range, right? A range? Seems like someone is thinking like a normal human. That's exactly right. My max range is only 2 meters. I can't create any objects outside that range. Well, drop it like it's hot. Yeah. But like, that's why she had to float up there, or float, quote unquote. Even if I were to drop something from 2 meters up, I'd have to be really lucky to kill someone. Busting in a skull like that is simply impossible. Yeah, we already know how she got high, exactly. She got high. I was gonna go to work, then I got high, If things went how you say they went, I'd have to drop it at least double that. I need to drop it from at least 4 meters up. 4 meters, that's a very specific number. How can you be so sure of the height? I've tried a few things out with my skills. For the sake of our shows, of course. Note, I'm sorry, but I was thinking the same thing. An object falling from 2 meters wouldn't have done that to our corpse. Are you starting to understand? So, just give up. You promised. I'm sorry, I simply can't do that. Just as Detective Thena said, Miss Keller's staying calm and collected, sticking to the script she prepared in advance. I can hear a slight tremor in her voice. I'm slowly driving her into a corner. There hasn't been a single flaw in my logic up to this point. It's clear the victim was killed by a falling object. Yet, it is as Miss Geller claims, the range is insufficient for her crime. In order for Geller to have committed the crime, she would have had to make up for the height difference somehow. For instance, she could have climbed up into a piece of furniture before using her skill. No. If that were the case, Brian would have seen footprints on the furniture with his skill. There were no footprints, such footprints. In fact, at the time of the crime, Miss Keller left no footprints in the room at all yet. Speaking of which, there was something that happened when Miss Keller entered the room. I have one more suspicion. Perhaps that suspicion can turn into a clue. No, there's no way Keller's getting out of this one. This may be the final answer we are seeking. Tell me, what did she use to create an object 4 meters above the victim's head? Jumping Chester. Yeah, obviously. A second object. Yeah, what did she use? Once you stop and think about it, there's something else we hadn't figured out besides her murder weapon. Something else? Why is it that Miss Geller used the objects she made to enter the room? But of course, have you figured out the reason why? Yes, and their answer to that question is connected to the means Miss Geller used to murder her victim. Miss Keller was intent on using her skill to kill her victim, however, she wasn't sure if a single swing of one of her objects would kill him instantly. If the victim didn't die immediately, and were to let out a yell that would spell big trouble for her. That's why she settled on dropping the object from a height to do him in. Yet she knew that her range was too short. There was no guarantee that an object dropped from 2 meters would silence him in one blow. What? Didn't you say you were gonna explain why she used her skill to enter the room? You haven't figured it out? Why did Miss Geller use her skill to go inside? How could she be certain she could kill him instantly when she was lacking height? Each question provides an answer to the other. If I can sum up what you're trying to say, the reason Geller used her skill to enter the room was to make sure she killed him with a single blow. That's why she thought up a plan, a way to create an object at a height that would surely kill her victim. No, I really think about it, I'd be willing to bet she already knew her plan. Miss Geller's solution. It was none other than the stunt she pulled on the stage. A stunt? What do you mean? The airwalking clown bit? And she puts it up, a jumping jester. Isn't that right, Miss Geller? Miss Geller can only create objects up to 2 meters from her body. If she wanted to create an object higher than that, she'd have to climb up higher. Leaping, really, up into the air. That's why she used her skill to enter the room, to get up to the height required to commit the crime. Geller's range is 2 meters. That means she could create a foothold up to 2 meters away. And as she climbs up those 2 meters, another 2 meters from that she creates the objects that will take a life. The resulting object would be 4 meters off the ground. Miss Geller, that satisfies the condition for the murder you set for yourself. However, if you check the trace left at crime scene, we can see other footholds she created starting at the entrance. How can that be? Miss Geller's kill all of the invisible objects she is able to create. If she started with a block 2 meters high, she'd never be able to climb it. That's right, so she started off with some lower steps, then she slowly increased the height of the footholds as she climbed up each one. Just like a set of stairs, so it really isn't an air-walking clown. I see the jumping jester thing now. That's exactly how she committed her crime too. Even before entering the room, she was already on a small step. And little by little she climbed, moving ever closer to her victim. By the time Geller was in front of the victim, she was close to her maximum height of 2 meters. Then at her max height, Miss Geller made the largest object she could at 20 kilograms and let it fall. She took the life of the victim who slept beneath her, and she made sure she finished the deed. Anyone could have seen the victim was deceased. Miss Geller then fled the scene of the crime, relieved to be done with it. If there was one thing you didn't consider, it was your nightly routine, yes? So that's why she had to go. I guess that makes sense. The victim had a habit of drinking a cup of coffee every night at 9 o'clock, and it was your job, Miss Geller, to bring it to him. You knew that was the first person to find the body. You'd be suspected for the crime, but you could not go either. If you differed from your usual schedule, you draw suspicion from the police. In the end, you made a cup of coffee as usual and made your way to the victim's office. But wait, wasn't there tea there? On the carpet. But there was no one there to drink it. Miss Julia Geller, you are the culprit. Yes, it was me. I killed the ringleader. Okay, we are logical. We solved the case. Well then, I shall call the probation's office. Indeed, I'll leave that to you. So these are the cuffs you only use on staffers. Rumor has it there's a bomb inside that will explode if I resist. None of that, nothing so dangerous. Just a high voltage electrical current and neurotoxin. For me, that might as well be a bomb. Sorry, rules are rules. But you never know when an invisible brick's gonna fall on my head, right? Harsh rules considering today's events, though it does seem justifiable. Why won't you let us in? I just want to see her face. Geller couldn't have done that. Let us talk to her. Julia, can you hear us? Don't say a word until we get to the station, okay? Mr. Vernon, then I go help Ryan outside. Come to think of it, there's one thing we haven't quite figured out, huh? Huh? That you can't be right. Miss Julia Geller, the part of your statement about not holding a grudge toward the victim was no lie. Then why? Why kill the man? You know the ringleader held a considerable debt, right? To settle his debts, he was gonna sell the Trump Tower Circus troupe. He said he was gonna sell not only the theater but also the right to perform under the Trump Tower brand. Then I was called into his office at 7:30. The ringleader spilled the black tea I brought him and yelled at me like he was getting something off his chest. He said all of it was my fault, that everything was how it was because I was such a lousy person. I couldn't disagree with the man. But everyone said the death was because of his gambling now. Yet he said the reason he turned to gambling was because of the declining profits from the theater. That part I'm responsible for. This woman, she's been blaming herself for everything all night. How'd she get into this state? I pleaded with him. I said I'd do anything he asked if she'd just hold on a little longer. And that's when he hit me. I knew it was coming. He is not the sort of person to change his mind just because I opened my mouth. I had to stop him, but there was only one way to do that. By that you mean killing the man? For me it was all I could do. Trump Tower is the only place I can live like other normal human. Instead of losing this place, I'd rather... In the end, you figured it out, it was me who did it, but things didn't turn out so bad. The right to Trump Tower will fall to Vernon. The three of us were gonna continue together, if we could. Are you happy? What? Whatever reason you might have, you still killed the man. Don't you feel the least bit guilty? Guilty? Am I even allowed to feel something like guilt? How can I put this? I'm sad that the person I killed is dead. Can I really say I regret after everything I've gone through? If someone who brutally killed another person were to turn around and have nerve to cry about it, would you really accept that? Sergeant, I'm sorry, but would you mind if I waited in the car? Alright, you've done enough. Miss Geller, due to the provisions of the contract made between the Bureau and the Attorney General's office, you will be sent to a prison belonging to the former. I'll give you a moment to talk to the other members of your troop. They're not listening to us anyway, so make your peace. Alright, and sorry for today. No, I'm sorry. On my first day of work, I was nearly shot at and kicked off the fort, but in the end I solved the case. So why did I feel this way? On top of that, I can't see Big Ben from here either. What was my reason exactly? What on earth brought me to the city? To solve cases and be badass. Case closed! Yippee! Mana First Division. Blah blah blah, so that's the same day still, right? Looks like to solve the case, but alright, that's my cue. Gonna end the stream here. That's the perfect time to end the stream. So I am Adventure Argonaut. Thank you for watching me and offering feedback, and yeah, it's time to go. Depressive detective, yeah, a little bit, but yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.